Hello everyone, this is Orlando from A Collector's Dreams. And there's a couple of things that I want to talk about today. First of all, I want to talk about Mike the baseball collector and his pet peeves. And I'm going to share one pet peeve. Some of the YouTube people have basically used up the entire list of pet peeves. I mean, between Mangini and Elite Hunter and especially Lou Rock, he did half an hour of pet peeves. So I think all the pet peeves are covered, but I have one more that hasn't been covered. And that's one that I want to share a little bit, and I want to just start with showing you that card there. And I want to show you, these are A cards to me. These are A cards. Authentic, but to me they're A. I grade them an A. And a lot of people, you talk about your collection and they ask, oh, what grade is it? And when you say, oh, it's authentic, you get like, oh, people really don't accept authentic cards as they should. And, I understand, you don't want any cards that are trimmed or colored or, cut short from the factory or pressed or any of those things. I mean, you don't want those cards in your collection. But sometimes, there's cards that you just want to get, and you want to get the best copy. And, you take that route. And the next thing, so that's my pet peeve. I'm going to show you some of my authentic and altered cards. And, also I want to tie it into one of my YouTube influencers. And, get into the influencer thing now. Everybody's talking about that. And one of mine is Dave Bluejacket 66. And this is what influenced me. Let me go ahead.
But if at some point some kid in 1930 dinged his corner and whatever, it's altered. And it is what it is, but I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind about altered cards, especially ones that are astronomically high in value or price, that I would rather get a card that is very presentable rather than a dog just to say that I had the card. Let's give a couple examples. Here's a 55 Bowman George Kell. Terrible corners. Let's just pretend that this is a $10,000 card. Okay. Scuff marks here, terrible corners. I'll try to show the light. See those creases? The back, I don't know, there's glue on the back and another crease. So, what is it? That's a poor card. But let's just pretend that's a $10,000 card. What am I doing here? Here's the other George Kell. Let's just pretend these are Manals. I don't care. That's a frickin' nice looking card. It's got good gloss. The corners look nice. The back looks good. So, I don't know. If let's just present this. One of these is your dream card, and this is, it's a dog, and this one looks beautiful. Which one do you want? Well, you want this one. Well, guess what? This one's trimmed. I know it's trimmed because I just trimmed it with some scissors right before I turned on this video because the corners were a little rough. But it looks great, and I don't believe in fooling anybody. I think this should be sent in, graded as trim and whatever, or kept in your collection as trim, but I would rather have...
So that's what influenced me. Well, one of the things, I always buy the card, not the grade. I've always said that. And a lot of times, early in my collecting career, I refused to do that. It's got to be graded. It's got to get, 1 or 2, and even... my sister who, knows something about cards and all that, tells me, oh, couldn't you have gotten like at least a 1 or a 2? Because an A is like below a 1. It's like, a 0, and I said, but basically the bottom line is what Dave said. You got to look at the card. And here's some examples of my cards that are altered. This is the 53 satchel page. And Dave, I know you don't like this particular satchel page. You prefer the 49 leaf or the 49 Bowman. And eventually I'll pick up one of those. I don't have either one of those. Eventually I'll pick up, hopefully, the leaf. And probably going to be in an authentic. If I could find something like this page, take a look at this card. Like vintage, like Adam Vintage Sanctuary says, look at that beautiful card. Beautifully centered. And the back is beautiful. One thing I do want to know before I buy the card is, why is it authentic? What was done to this card? And I'll tell you, this card was pressed. This card was pressed. A lot of cards are pressed when they were put in the screw downs and stuff like that. But in this case, this card apparently had some surface creases that were, you can't even see them. Trust me, you can't see them. I've looked at them. I mean, I could see them when I look at them under the magnifying glass, but you can't see it. And it's an authentic card. So basically, these kind of cards, they're going to go for prices of, a 1 or a 2. And, would I rather get a beater? No. I'll pick up this one. Here's another one. Here's a Roy Campanella. I'm going to show you the different kinds, because I have all kinds of authentic cards and altar cards. And when I was looking through my safe deposit boxes, I did pull out the Babe Ruth, that I did a video on that one. I looked through and I said, man, I got a lot of authentic cards in here, but I grade them all A's. And here's Roy Campanella, 1952, Topps Roy Campanella. Take a look at that card. Now I know the history of this card, so I know that this card was not trimmed, was not altered back. It's just virtually a brand new card. This card was not altered, it was not trimmed. This is a minimum size card. And I know that for a fact, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this when I get to another one of these cards. But the minimum size, sometimes you send stuff into PSA and they won't grade it, comes back minimum size, qualifiers or whatever. Didn't qualify for their exact size. SGC will slab it, but they'll slab it with an authentic. But look at this 52 high numbers Roy Campanella. Look at that card. You're not going to find a better one unless you're going to go for a 9 or an 8 or a 9. Look at the corners on that. So like Dave said, am I going to buy a beater, or I'm going to buy an authentic card? But some people have a pet peeve, and they're like, I'm not going to buy an authentic card. It has to have a number grade on it or whatever. But I'll take the Campanella. So let's go for another one. Here is another one of my authentic cards. 1911 Tykov. I've shown this one earlier here. I think I've shown all of these already in way early videos. But here's the Tykov. Look at that card. Is that a beautiful card? That's from 1911. This card is trimmed. It's trimmed at the top. But look at that. That card looks like a 5 or a 6. Beautifully centered. The back. Super nice, clean back. It's a little bit off center top to bottom there because it was trimmed on the top. A very slight trim. Beautiful back. Beautiful tie cob. You know, you just, you know, sometimes you want a card, you can't afford it. You're going to get a 1 or 2, a beater card, or, you know, for me, and like Dave inspired me, he influenced me. Dave, you're an influencer. He influenced me to look at authentic cards. And, you know, I realized, yeah, some of my best cards are authentic. There's a tie cob. Let's move on to another one here I want to show you. And you know, sometimes, take a sip of water. Sometimes it's just, the card is so rare, you know, and like Dave, you know, the card he was showing at the end of that video was a 33 DeLong Garrick. And that card was like at least an 8. It looked like an 8. It was slightly trimmed. And that DeLong Garrick, to me, was the best DeLong card, period, that I'd have ever seen. And, you know, that card is so rare, and especially in a condition like that, that you got to get it in any condition. You just get the card. And that's the story on this one here. And I've shown this. This was actually my very first video where I showed the oldest football card, and that was the Beecher, the 1888 Goodwin Champion Beecher card from Yale. That was the first football card ever. That was the first football card ever made. And this is the first football set ever produced. And this card from that set is the rarest card in that set. Not only is it the rarest card in the set, this is the rarest football card ever. And I can tell you that because there's less than 10 of these cards that exist. This is the 1894 Mayo Cut Plug N302 Anonymous. And it was an anonymous card for many years. And well, first let me tell you what happened with this card. It's been colored. So that's been altered because it's been colored. Somebody colored in the black border. It does have a crease here, but the back is clean. And for these Mayo cards, all of them, most of them have bad backs. See, it's got a crease there. You can see the crease. But to me, this is such a rare card. And the picture on this card, the highest graded example is a 3. And the picture on that 3, even most of the pictures of John Dunlop in this card, they're pretty worn out. And this is it's an actual sepia photo. And this was so clear, so clean that, you know what? I don't care that it's authentic. I don't care if it's been colored in there. Somebody tried with some marker to color it in, but it's altered now. But it doesn't really matter because these cards, when you get into such rare cards like this, you know, get it when you see it. Get it. If you try to get it in a 1 or a 2, you know, it's impossible. So this card right here, and if you want to hear the full story on it, it's in my very first video. It's the 1894 Mayo Cut Plug, and the reason it's the anonymous card is because they all had the name across here, all of them, except for this one. And when they realized that the name was missing, they pulled it from the printing press. very similar to Eddie Plank and to Hannes Wagner. And some people consider this the Hannes Wagner of football, because if you look at the pops on these, total pops for all grading companies is less than 10. I think it's 9. And I would tell you it's probably more like 8, because this card itself, I researched it. This particular card had been graded by PSA before. The same thing, it said altered, PSA, authentic altered. And then eventually it was submitted to SGC. There's so few of these that, you know, you gotta get it. And this is the rare stuff, like Dave's 33 DeLong. So anyway, this is the 1894 Mayo Cup plug, anonymous. This is the rarest football card ever. So let me move on now to really the big guy. Let me see if I can fit all this in here. Let's get these guys over here. Let's get these guys over and do the big guy. And this is my best card. This is my best card ever of my entire collection. And it's the Mickey Mantle. Let me take this off of here. All A cards. Authentic altered. My 1952 Mickey Mantle. I'm shaking just holding it because it's such a beautiful card, and I can't believe I own this card. Look at that. That card is perfect. Authentic altered, and it's not. This card, along with this card here, were found in a small lot years ago of high number cards. There were 80 high number cards in the lot. 13 of those were miscut, or cut short from the factory. And how do I know that? Here, SGC also said that. I could get it graded with SGC. Here's the thing, they put minimum size. They would only grade it as authentic minimum size. So it's not trimmed. It came like that right from the factory. And I would rather have this card than any other mantle, other than maybe the top ones graded in, you know, super high grade. But for the money, this is an authentic card. So Dave, you influenced me, and I've gotten into authentic cards. Now, hopefully I don't influence anybody, because I don't want anybody buying any authentic cards. I'd like to keep them all for me and for Dave. So the main thing on a lot of these cards, all of these cards, you can buy for less than one, two, three. This is an exceptional card that I just was extremely lucky to come across. And the story in this card, I did a whole story on it. And you can look at it on one of my previous videos under my 1952 mantle. And I did the entire story. This card is not trimmed, it's not altered. It was cut slightly short from the factory. So it's a minimum size. It didn't meet the minimum size requirements of PSA. So thank God it didn't, because if it did, I would never be able to afford this card. So for me, that's a great thing. So there it is, guys. My authentic altered collection of cards. that I would never have been able to afford if it wasn't authentic or altered. So they're all A rated by me. So anyway, that's my pet peeve. Too many people are just fixated on the grade. You know, is it a 4? Is it a 5? Is it a 6? A 7? It's an 8? What is it? Look at the card. You know, you decide. You know, in my opinion, for my purposes, this is what I want. You know, now if you want to go ahead and sell cards and you want to be a flipper of cards, yes, you want to buy a card with a grade, of course. And I have most of my cards are graded, and I, you know, rarely will buy an authentic card unless I find something like these. But the bottom line is, I could not have afforded any of these or most of these cards at the time unless I got them in these grades. And thank God I did, you know. So you get them either because they're rare, you know, they're minimum size, they're colored, they come in all ways, they're trimmed, or they're pressed. Either way, they're beautiful cards. And the bottom line, if you really want to think about it, these are cards I'll never sell. So it doesn't matter to me, you know, what they're worth, because I'm not going to sell them. These are cards that are going to be in my collection. So if you guys have cards that you're going to keep in your collection for the rest of your life, like you know, a lot of collectors say they will, this will be, you know, my grail, then take a look at altered. Well, maybe not. Sorry, don't take a look at altered cards again. Leave them for me. I'll take them all. Thank you, everyone. So thank you, Mike, baseball collector. Thank you, Dave Bluejacket 66. And that's another beautiful day here in South Florida. Thank you, everyone. This is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. Thank you for watching my videos.